This chart tracks a contradiction in the global economy. The line shooting upward represents billions of dollars in new investment pouring into India's manufacturing sector. But the flat line at the bottom, that is manufacturing's actual share of India's GDP, sitting at 15.8%. For an entire decade, through intense political focus and shifting global trade winds, that metric hasn't moved. To break the stagnation, the Indian government launched a $23 billion production-linked incentive, or PLI, scheme in 2020. The mechanics are straightforward. The government offers direct financial rewards to companies based on how much they increase their domestic production and sales. Adding capital to specific sectors incentivizes individual companies to sell more, but it does not automatically re-engineer the broader industrial base. It risks increasing activity without actually moving that 15.8% GDP line. The political goal behind the PLI scheme was highly specific: raise manufacturing's share of the economy to 25% by 2025. It was designed to promote self-reliance and position India as a competitive alternative in the global supply chain. But an industrial supply chain is a physical reality, made of steel, concrete, and logistics. It requires sprawling vendor networks and specialized tooling that take years to develop. You cannot bypass at physical construction by simply distributing cash across 14 target sectors. Short-term financial subsidies struggle to compete with global rivals who have spent decades laying out these complex, heavily integrated industrial foundations. That brings us to the actual scale of the competition. This shipping port is part of an ecosystem designed to move raw materials and finished goods at extreme speeds. Today, China controls 28% of global manufacturing value, producing output worth $4.66 trillion. By comparison, India currently holds about a 3% share. This bar chart visualizes the logistics gap. In rail freight, China moves over 2.1 million ton kilometers, while India transports 620,000. The gap extends to technology. China invests 2.4% of GDP into R&D, compared to India's 0.7%. This investment and superior infrastructure makes Chinese labor productivity 1.6 times higher. These are compounding structural advantages. High productivity, rapid logistics, and deep technological integration create a self-sustaining ecosystem that keeps costs low and output high. Financial incentives alone cannot dismantle a machine that efficient. At first glance, the PLI scheme appears to be working, especially in electronics. Since the program's launch, India's mobile phone production has increased by 63%, reaching $49 billion. That impact is measured by domestic value addition, tracking how much economic value is created within the host country. For an iPhone assembled in India, value addition is only around 19%. In China, the mature component ecosystem captures up to 45% of the value of each device. Because India's component supplier ecosystem is still developing, assembling more phones actually requires importing more intermediate parts, machinery, batteries, and screens, directly from China. Screwing imported parts together generates output volume, but the bulk of economic value and the resulting GDP growth remains with the countries fabricating the components. To understand why that deeper fabrication layer struggles to take root, we must look at the physical friction of operating a business inside India. This dashboard tracks the operational hurdles for Indian manufacturers. On average, it takes 14 months just to acquire land due to incomplete records and disputes. Once operational, rail transport is 70%, and a severe lack of reliable power means nearly half of all firms face weekly power cuts. Fixing that grid is a massive undertaking. In the central power sector alone, delayed infrastructure projects resulted in cost overruns exceeding 46,000 crores. Financial incentives are effective at attracting final stage assembly plants, but they struggle to lure heavy industry if the host country cannot provide the reliable land, power, and logistics to keep massive operations running. The PLI scheme has delivered clear victories in pharmaceuticals and mobile assembly, but in areas requiring deeper capital investment, the results are lagging. In the solar industry, for instance, 8 out of 12 participating companies are projected to miss their production targets. Because of these mixed results, manufacturing is locked at 15.8% of GDP. According to Bloomberg Economics, even if the sector consistently outpaces broader growth, the original goal of hitting a 25% share won't be reached until 2040. Developing an industrial base from scratch takes time, and the Make in India initiative may simply require another decade to mature. But it also raises a question. Can a nation subsidize its way into a manufacturing boom, or do the foundations have to be poured first?